Welcome back to Speak More Fluently.
Great to be here.
You know, we often talk about big grammar rules or expanding vocabulary.
Mm-hmm. The usual suspects.
Exactly. But today, we're looking at something smaller. Those little words like, right, that sort of sneak into our English conversations.
Yes, the fillers. But maybe smart fillers.
That's the angle. We think understanding these, maybe even controlling them, could be a surprising key to sounding more, well, natural and confident.
It really can. It seems small, but mastering these nuances can genuinely shift how fluent people perceive you to be. Stick around. It's quite interesting.
Definitely. So let's start there. When we say fillers, most people probably think, or right.
Yeah, those are the classic ones. They mostly signal, I need a second to think.
Okay, but you're suggesting right, are maybe doing something else? A bit different?
Exactly. While they can buy you thinking time, they often have more specific jobs in the conversation. They're not just like placeholders. They're actively shaping the interaction.
Interesting. Okay, let's break them down. What about right? I hear that tacked onto sentences constantly.
Yeah, that's a really common one. Often it works like a mini question, doesn't it?
How so?
Like, we need to finish this by 5, right? It's checking if the listener agrees or understands. It's subtly asking, are you with me?
Okay. So it's checking for agreement or understanding. Got it. Makes sense.
It's efficient, really.
And then there's, that one feels almost ubiquitous sometimes. What's its main function?
Is often about building rapport. It's like you're reaching out for shared understanding or experience.
Give me an example.
Sure. Like if you say, it was just a really awkward meeting, you're kind of assuming the other person has felt that way before. You're hinting at a shared feeling.
So it's less about information and more about connection, establishing common ground.
Precisely. It's trying to create that feeling of, yeah, I get what you mean.
Okay. And the third one, what's its job?
Is often about clarifying or sometimes softening what you just said or are about to say.
Softening? How?
Well, imagine saying, I wasn't keen on the presentation. Then you add, the data was solid, but the delivery it signals you're about to elaborate or refine.
Yeah.
Maybe offer a less blunt take.
Right. It cushions the statement a bit or adds nuance.
Yeah, it flags a clarification or a slight shift in perspective.
So it sounds like these aren't inherently bad then. If used thoughtfully, they can actually be useful.
Absolutely. They can be beneficial. A well-placed, might give you that half second to gather your thoughts without an awkward silence.
And like you said, right, pulls the listener in, makes them feel involved.
Yeah, it definitely helps with politeness sometimes, smoothing over potentially direct or critical comment.
Okay, I see the upside. But we've all heard people where it's just constant, right? Every sentence has a, or an I mean. That's where it becomes a problem.
That's the danger zone, absolutely. Overuse is incredibly common.
Yeah.
Even for quite advanced speakers. The biggest pitfall is sheer repetition. If every other word is like or, it stops being subtle and just becomes distracting, the listener starts focusing on the filler, not the message.
Totally. It's like a verbal tick that pulls focus. Are there other warning signs?
Another big one is starting almost every sentence the same way. We could do this. The report shows.
Oh, yeah, that sounds really unnatural, almost robotic.
It does.
Yeah.
It breaks the conversational flow and can make you sound hesitant.
And I guess in more formal settings, this could be a real issue, like a presentation or a job interview.
Definitely. In those situations, relying too heavily on fillers can unfortunately signal nervousness or maybe a lack of preparation.
Even if you are prepared.
Exactly. It might give the wrong impression, suggesting you're unsure, even when you know your stuff.
So awareness is key. But how do we even notice we're doing it? Often it feels so automatic.
That's the first hurdle. A really powerful, if slightly uncomfortable technique is to record yourself. Yeah, no, just talk for a couple minutes about anything your day, a movie, whatever. Then listen back specifically for right,
I bet that would be revealing, maybe a bit painful.
It can be, but it gives you a real baseline. You might be surprised how often they pop up.
Okay, so once I face the audio evidence, what next? Just try harder.
Well, you can set small goals. If you catch yourself saying, 10 times in 2 minutes, aim for 7 next time, then 5. Make it gradual.
Manageable targets. I like that. What about in the moment when you feel that, coming?
Try replacing it with a pause. Just silence.
Ooh, that feels awkward, though.
It does at first.
Yeah.
But actually, a brief pause can sound much more thoughtful and confident than a filler word. Silence can be powerful. It gives you and the listener a moment to process.
Okay, so record, set goals, embrace the pause. Any other practical exercises?
Yeah, you could try something like filler spotlight practice with a partner.
How does that work?
You have a conversation, and your partner gives a small, agreed-upon signal, like tapping a pen every time you use one of your target fillers.
Ah, real-time feedback. That could really raise awareness.
They really can. Another one is shadowing with intention.
Shadowing, like mimicking.
Yeah. First, listen to some natural English audio and mimic it exactly, fillers and all. Get the rhythm. Then listen again, shadow again, but this time consciously replace some of those fillers with pauses.
That's clever. So you practice the alternative rhythm.
Exactly. You get a feel for how pauses can fit naturally.
And context must matter hugely here too, right? You wouldn't use these the same way everywhere.
Absolutely not. Usage varies. You mentioned right. That's very common in some places, less so in others where maybe okay or in it might be used.
Right.
And formality is key. Chatting with friends, a few you-knows are fine, expected even. Presenting to the board, probably want to cut way back.
Too many casual fillers could undermine your authority there.
For sure. In formal settings, silence or using proper transitional phrases is generally better.
What about video calls? With the lag and weird silences, I feel like I might use more fillers.
That's a great point. The slight delay can make us want to fill the void. Being aware of that urge helps. Practice clearer pauses. Maybe use the chat function alongside speaking.
And audience matters too, I suppose. Younger crowds versus older?
Generally, yes. Expectations can differ. Always good to be mindful of who you're speaking to.
Okay, so if I want to swap out, when I'm clarifying, what are some better alternatives, especially in more formal speech?
Good question. You could use phrases like, to put it another way, or what I'm trying to convey is, or simply to clarify.
More polished options.
Yes, and things like furthermore, in addition, however, work as general transitions instead of just starting with a filler.
And circling back, that idea of practicing pausing, it's really about building a new habit, even if it feels strange initially.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like any skill, it takes practice. But it leads to sounding more composed. And of course, good preparation helps massively. The more confident you are in your content, the less you'll need fillers as a crutch.
Could you maybe paint a picture? Like a real-world example showing the difference?
Sure. Let's take that job interview scenario again. Question. Why should we hire you?
Okay.
Overfilled answer.
Well, I've got, a lot of the experience, right? And I think I'd be really good,
Not very convincing.
Right. Now compare. Slight pause. My background includes 5 years directly relevant experience where I consistently met project goals. My skills in X and Y, mentioned in the job description, align perfectly with this role's requirements.
Wow. Yeah, huge difference. Much clearer, more confident, fewer words, more impact.
Exactly. It's the same basic message, but the delivery, free of those distracting fillers, makes it land much more effectively.
So as listeners start working on this, how can they track if they're actually getting better? Well, a simple filler journal can work. Just note down times you felt you overused them and see if those instances decrease.
Like self-monitoring over time.
Yes. And ask for feedback. If you have a language partner, teacher, or even a patient friend, ask them honestly, did I seem to use too much then?
Okay.
You could even do those recording milestone challenges
Yeah.
we talked about. Record yourself once a week or month and compare. See the numbers go down.
Good ideas. But just to be clear, the goal isn't to eliminate these words entirely, is it? We don't want to sound like robots.
Not at all. That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
Native speakers use these fillers. They're part of natural speech rhythm.
So what is the goal?
It's about controlled use, becoming aware, making conscious choices, using them strategically, or choosing a pause when that's more effective. It's about finding a natural balance, not robotic perfection.
That makes sense. Naturalness through awareness, not elimination.
Precisely.
Well, this has been really enlightening. Diving into these tiny words, shows they pack a bigger punch than we might think. The big takeaway seems to be, understand them, become aware of your own habits, and then manage them strategically. It really can boost fluency and confidence.
Absolutely. So start listening to others and yourself. Try recording, try pausing, see what happens.
Great advice. And maybe a final thought for everyone listening. The next time you're speaking English and feeling, coming on, just pause and consider, could silence or a different word choice actually make your point even stronger?
Something to think about.
Thanks for tuning in to Speak More Fluently.